Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
Griff.
Bucket.
Baka's Baka for right now. There's a good chance that he'll drop out, which is why none of our stuff is on the screen as we usually would, because I'm just not trying to chase it around and reorganize it. So, if it's on there at all.
Today. It's just, I can't believe how lazy she's
You know what?
right
It's
now.
your birthday, so I'm taking it easy. Happy birthday.
I already said it. Happy birthday again on air.
I know, right?
And you know what? I wore the red shirt and he didn't. I should have sent you a message and been like, for Ollie, you need to put on a red shirt because it's your birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
And I shouldn't have worn the red one. I didn't think about it.
No, but you're doing it in the spirit of my birthday.
That's
there
right.
you go. There you go. There you go. We should have all worn red
I've
except for him.
requisitioned your birthday. It's mine now. I will say though, like,
It's the same month, so why not?
I love our friends group, but I am so glad that we are bringing the birthday train to a close.
Oh my God, right?
Our normal group of 8, 5 of us have had birthdays since the end of January, and they are all literally a week apart. It's like this week, next week, next week, next week, next week.
Let's see. I've got them all marked up on my calendar right there. We've got 6 days, and then 10 days, and then 7 days. So it's 5, 6, 10, and 7.
And then the one
that's
that you
how
don't
far
have
you
on
guys
there
are apart.
is the one that's right before that. So the 26th. So there's 4 days.
No,
between.
I got it. I got it up there.
Oh, well,
I got it starred, but I don't have January's days up there. But yeah, it was on Tuesday, and yours was on Saturday.
So yeah, it's all just been like the
Or
birthday
Monday.
month is coming to an end.
I'm sorry, we got to play a new game for it. So
That's true. That's true. We'll definitely we'll be talking about stuff that we played a lot today because there's not a lot of stuff to talk about in the news. So, what's the one thing that we do have to talk about that's news related? That's actual news, I guess.
Marvel Rivals, it has blown up, which we said when we first started playing. We're like, oh, this is it. This is the thing. And it is definitely blown up and kind of taken off pretty well. It has forced Overwatch to really play on the defensive because they've done a lot of changes. They're back to 6v6. They're reintroducing loot boxes. They added in the perks.
Overwatch
they're really
2 is just dropping the 2 off and returning to Overwatch, which is shameful because, you justified why we had to buy a new copy of it to, actually no, it was free to play. That's what it was. And then you wanted us to do battle passes and. Yeah.
Overwatch, the original, wasn't free to play.
Rivals is doing battle passes too, but I mean, theirs is a hell of a lot better.
Which is strange coming from somewhere like NetEase.
Yeah.
It's got a reputation for like the Diablo mobile game was them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, then you get the news from this week, which is they laid off the U.S. studio that made this game essentially.
That helped build the game.
Yeah, that helped build the game. And they just completely laid all those folks off. So, they're not charging as much for, predatory battle passes and stuff. But they are going to, fire everybody that worked on the game and take all of the money from it.
I'm going to be 100% straightforward here. That's just how it is these days. If you are in a studio and you're working on video games, you are not secure. Unless you trust your company enough, unless you trust them.
You work for actually owns the IP. Like if you're like a
even
Bethesda,
then they'll lay you off.
Bethesda's Microsoft
yeah,
them now.
Yeah, they'll still lay
get
your
rid
ass
of
off.
you and your whole team and just bring in a bunch of new people.
Or AI. Now we're to the point where a lot of stuff gets filled in by AI once it's built. You just plug and play and keep going.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing in our industry. I say our industry.
That shit to crash because it's going to be like, we don't understand. We're doing all this AI, so it saves us so much money, but no one is working and can afford our shit. Why is this happening?
I would be fine with the AI thing if quality didn't change in between.
You don't like 6 fingers and an elbow that's not attached?
I know, and reduce.
It'll be better later.
The actual price, but it's not going to reduce the price on our side. They're still going to charge $70 for the fucking game, and it's a AA game to start with because they're not spending as much money on it as they used to, and it's like, come on, man.
It does make me sad though because we just got into Marvel and it's super good. It's super fun. It feels good to play, except for Jeff. that little shark. I hate that thing.
Oh yeah, At least you hear the dig, 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 and you have to get out of the way. It's better than walking around a corner and going, boom, what happened? Because fucking Penny Parker set up her little
to be
bullshit
fair,
thing.
those go beep 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 before they explode. You have a chance
Really?
to get out of it.
Really?
Yes, you
because
do.
I walk around the corner
not
and
much of a chance.
yeah, I walk
Okay,
around
but
the
you
corner
don't have much of a
because
chance
someone
to get out
else
of Jeff's
walked
ult
in.
either.
I walk in because someone else was ahead of me, and then they're like, "Oh, let's get the healer instead," and then they kill me instantly. Like there's no counterplay. At least with Jeff, you could kill him before he throws you off. Yeah, I'm salty about
Your
it.
team might be able to kill him. You, as somebody that is inside the shark, has nothing that
And-
you can do about it.
And I've seen your ass outplay it too.
Only with
All
things
you do
like
is go
Rocket or Penny, you have to have a jump escape of some sort to get out of that. And even then,
Yeah.
it's iffy if you can, because he can launch himself off the edge before it counts as you being launched out.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, we've been playing it quite a bit, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but it's a subject matter we're talking about now too.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And on top of them shutting that down, rumors are out there now that they originally didn't want to pay Disney for their characters. So
I
it's like,
mean-
and so they were like, "Oh, come up with your own."
yeah, they wanted it to
our
be.
own versions of this, right? And
Yeah.
it's like they're currently making $200 million since December. They've made it $200 million on the game, and didn't want to pay for their IP, so they were going to do it. Would this have been Concord? Would this game?
Probably.
Because you would have come up with generic versions of, or you'd been close enough to a Marvel character where they got sued by Disney.
I think that you could have done your own characters, and the reason that this would have gone differently than Concord is it would have been free to play at launch, which is one of the things we said Concord
Yes.
should have been out of the gate.
That's fair. I would
Concord
agree
could
with
have had a player base if it was free to play with a battle pass system.
yes.
I mean, it may not have smashed as much as Marvel Rivals is doing, but I do think that if they had done their own IP with this, the mechanics and everything are solid enough that they probably could have been different enough to not get sued. But I kind of do wonder, like, Marvel's not cheap as far as like the characters go. So how much is it costing them to license each character? Like, that's got, or is it like a one-time? We're making a game. We want to license Marvel. Bye, Baka. We want
He'll be
to
back, I'm sure.
license Marvel characters. You can just pay us this amount at the start or whatever. Like, I'd love to know how much that stuff costs.
I mean, hey, he's back. Welcome back.
Hey.
I told you I didn't put any of our logo
Yeah.
stuff up because Baka will be in and out. I just expect it. Carry on.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
But I do kind of wonder, like, it has that amount that Oak said, whatever it was,
200 million.
Yeah. Is that, how much of that is being eaten by the licensing costs?
It wouldn't be that much because the licensing is going to be based on, depending on how they set up that contract, but it's going to either be a percentage of sales. Like, so when they're selling their battle pass or whatever, or they played in lump sum for the actual IP.
It's probably part of the
I see.
sales, and I bet there is an advertisement agreement in there because the Fantastic Four movie is supposed to come out. I guarantee we will see advertisements, or at least them
Already have.
pushing.
There,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
the ones.
Yeah, because the Captain America one came
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
they were pushing things for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it's a perfect thing. Like, if this game would not have done as well, then Disney would have been like, whatever, get rid of it. But it's doing well, so it's got a lot of eyes on it, and the best way to like bring people into different mediums of the same characters is to be like, all right, you got eyes here, let's push this because this movie is coming out soon. Let's push this because this movie or this game is coming out. Like, you can use this as your focal point.
We're probably going to get like a Red Hulk.
It doesn't,
Yeah,
skin.
you're probably
it doesn't
right.
even have to be that there's stuff coming out because it worked on me like instantly. I was like, I don't understand what the deal is with this Moon Knight guy. Like, he sounds too edgelordy to be real. And so what did I do? I went and watched Moon Knight on Disney Plus.
But look,
So
look at
like,
that.
it's
That
already
right there.
working.
I was gonna say it's already working. Like, I mean, at this point, Disney's like, yeah, absolutely. Take more of our characters. We got shows for these characters. Like, go. I bet money will see a Daredevil at some point. Like Daredevil
God.
Born Again
I
coming
want
out.
him.
I guarantee
Sure
we'll
you
see
will.
him at some
I
point.
bet we will, but I bet he'll be terrible. in
He's
game.
going to be able
gonna
to
murder me.
spot people through walls, kind of like
Yeah, it's gonna have that echo. effect.
Yeah, I was about to say, I bet money you won't.
Widowmaker ult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll be like, I don't know if they'll
That
make
would
it
be
so
awesome.
that you
I
can't
know where you're going
see.
with this. Check in it, and that would be awesome.
Like, you,
No,
everything is
they're
black.
not going to be.
Well, no.
They're not
Everything will
gonna
be
do that.
black, and you could see the outlines of everything, but you'll be able to see all the characters clearly
Like a
with red
Tron outline of
outlines
everything.
Yeah,
of everything. Yeah, like he
that
would
would be
be
so
Like
neat.
you're playing in
extremely
Sonar
unique.
constantly.
Pretty much. Like he'd be so hard to play, but that would be so thematic for him.
It would. I mean, I don't think it would make him hard to play as long as it did outline everything. So, like, you see all of the stuff in the world, you just see it in, like, a black and red or something like that, so
Yeah.
that it is more Sonar-ish and
Because
stylized.
they've shown his view from in the show, like how he sees everything. Because he's not like fully blind. He still has like some sort of perception that he can see in it, and like he could hear super well. So there's a combination of how he fights and whatnot. So it'd be very unique to see him brought into the Marvel. Plus, I'd love to see him. And you got to have Charlie Cox voice him. Got to.
I also wonder what their budget is on voice actors because as we were talking about before, Laura Bailey being in everything and things like that, but Laura Bailey's in it, Travis Willingham, Liam O'Brien, like all of these big names that are pretty prolific. They've all done voice work for Disney and Marvel anyway, and so they just brought them into the game as well. But like that's got to be a large portion of the budget too, right?
Oh yes. But I mean, if I was Charlie Cox, I'd be like, "I'll do it for cheap. Let me get my voice in there."
He really enjoys
he's
that
the
role.
face. He does.
Well, I mean, he is already the voice actor for Daredevil in the animated series, so it's like.
So
it
yeah,
would
if they're
make sure-
keeping most of that same, then yes.
I had to look it up to double check, but he is.
I love that man.
perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Disney will definitely try to keep it the same that they can.
Hey, I gotta give massive respect for Disney going out on a limb to bring him back and resurrecting the series. And I watched that trailer. They did not soften that show at all. Like watching that trailer, you're like, oh God, it is brutal and it
seems
is
like
dark.
Disney is learning that they can dip their toes into the darker aspect of things.
Especially
Yes.
with the superhero stuff, because that's done pretty well for them. So, and I know at this point, Baka's like, just read the damn comics and stop asking me, because like every time we play, I'm like, so is this legit? Like this character and this character's interaction, is that really what they're like? Yeah, I've asked so many questions.
Yes, it is. It's
Just sort through, almost 100 years of fucking comic script. God.
I know, right?
too much, man. Like, good God.
I can't help myself. Oh man, it's
But yeah, there's a lot of references when they talk, like the Namor and Invisible Woman, like where they have an interaction because Namor has a thing for her in the comics.
Oh,
Namor,
nice.
who I've discovered is Aquaman at home.
Well, technically, Aquaman is
No.
Namor at home, as Baka
Yeah.
has
Well,
pointed out plenty of times. Remember
yes,
that. You got to give
sorry.
Namor credit. He's first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, where like Marvel will copy a lot of DC heroes. That is one of the few times where DC was like, we like the Fishman.
I would
Yeah.
argue though that Aquaman is more recognizable, so he was second
Well,
but got the
yes.
spotlight, I
Li-
guess.
like- And a lot of that has to do with like the Justice League.
Yes, 100%. Like
Yeah.
bringing, they were so much more prominent. Like I don't know what happened to
I mean,
Marvel,
you-
but
you had
DC
the
came
cartoon
into
series of the Super Friends in the like the 70s or whatever.
80s
And-
and 70s. Yep.
yeah.
I grew up. That's
I
what
was
I grew
like,
up
wait a
with.
minute.
I grew up with Super Friends. That's what I grew up with, and it was
Whatever.
all of my friends would watch it.
But yeah, no, like, and everyone knows him as like, oh, it's the guy who talks to fish.
The guy
I
who
mean,
talks to
that's
fish.
kinda
Yes.
his
I
thing,
mean,
right?
like if you watch Cartoon Network in the 90s, that they would bet that was one of the jokes they would do, like in the Cartoon Network little commercial things, like that they would constantly basically like, oh yeah, it's the guy who just talks to fish.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
power.
I'm always getting the short straw. Always.
Yep.
Well,
It wasn't until I want to say like the early 2000s that maybe where he got kind of a overhauled where he was more badass. Like they gave him the beard and the long hair, and they took away one of his hands and gave him a hook.
really?
Yeah, made him a little
Aw.
hmm
They
different
cliched
variation.
him.
of-
Yeah.
Why would you
Maybe-
give
They
the one
did,
that's like a
but the
friend to
stories
fish
were-
a hook though? Like that seems like he would scare his fish
But
friends.
his stories at that point were a lot more interesting.
Well, okay. I mean, I'll
So.
give you that. Sure, whatever. Things that
Yeah,
I know
instead of him
so
being-
little about.
Yeah.
Uh,
I am not a comic expert. There are people out there that know way more of this shit than I do, but
Yeah, it's people's lives. Like Marvel, DC, you've got fanatics like deep in those chambers.
Well, then you have a group of people that have never read them before and then complain on the internet about something that happens in one of the movies. And they're like, that happened in the comic book like 35 years ago. Maybe you should pay attention.
I don't
Maybe
complain
you
about
should
any of
pay
it, but I do
attention.
ask plenty of questions.
Yes.
I'm like,
Well, that's
I don't
always a
have
good way
any
to look at it.
actual.
why are they
Practical
doing that?
knowledge.
That goes against the character. No, it does not. They trust me. They've done this story before. They'll do it again.
The only comics I
yes.
think I've read are Deadpool, and I'm pretty sure that Deadpool is not coming to Marvel Rivals. So
He
Yeah.
is. He is one of the characters on the list that they're going to bring in.
Yeah, he is.
Really?
I 100% will see
he is
him in.
too popular. Not
I
to,
just
to
figured
bring
he'd
in.
be too like dangerous to try to put into what is supposed to be like a safer setting, I guess.
Safer setting.
You can do Deadpool in a safer setting. Like they do it all the time in the Spider-Man cartoons.
He'll make a
Uh.
joke out of it. Like he will be like, "Why don't you shut the?" Oh, that's right. I can't say that here. And like it'll just make a joke out of it.
Or
breaking
like
the fourth
maybe it'll
wall.
like be bleeped out, and then he'll be like, why, what the hell is this coming out of my mouth now?
Yeah.
He will break
Exactly.
the fourth wall during it.
It's perfect. It'd be perfect. Like, come on. Everybody would love playing him too, or having him in the game just to hear the voice lines.
I probably would not be able to play him, but
I don't know. He'd probably just be a shooter.
No, he'd be able to do a mixture because he has his dual wielding katanas.
Yeah, that's
His
true.
other big thing is his regeneration. Like they would have to implement that into the game,
but not to the point that you
but
couldn't
not make it
kill him.
overpowered. Yeah.
I mean, the way you could do it, because I'm thinking Tom
Well,
Kench in
Wolverine
League of
regenerates.
Legends. Well, he comes with a like a death shield. As soon as you see that little thing over his head, like if he goes down to 1, he gets a giant shield that he can be healed back from. But with Deadpool, I think he'd have his health bar, and then as you do damage to it, it would gray his health, and then he'd walk away for a second out of combat, and then fill it back up almost immediately. Go back in. So you got to make sure that you finish him off so that he is forced to respawn. Otherwise, he's just going to go regen real fast.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on how powerful that they want to make his health regen.
Yeah.
And because like even with Wolverine or any of the people that have regeneration abilities, depending on who's riding him is how strong they are.
Yeah, I mean Wolverine
Like
feels pretty
Wolverine-
good in this one.
Well, Wolverine in the comics has survived basically coming back as a skeleton after a nuclear blast and was like, all right, I'm fine. It's like,
Oh, good. That's good. That's
That
good,
must be
good.
nice.
As long as he has one piece of skin left, he's okay.
I think
he had
Deadpool has
no skin
been-
left.
He's just a
has
skeleton.
similar stuff though, right? Didn't they establish that he can
Yeah.
come back from almost a cellular level?
He can be okay. So
I know we turned this into a
Deadpool
comic
has
book
a-
thing.
Short
Yeah.
of throwing
Deadpool
Deadpool
has
onto the
thing
sun, he can
in
come
the
back from almost
comic-
anything.
Well, Deadpool has this weird thing in the comics where Thanos cursed him, so he can never actually die.
Hmm. Okay.
Which is why if you,
Because
which is
he
why
You
if
know,
you
we're
set
like
him on the
sleeping with
sun,
his wife or something, or his wife was obsessed with him. or
yeah,
something.
because Lady Death has like this infatuation with Deadpool,
Yeah.
and that of course because Thanos loves Lady Death. It's like no, you're never going to be embraced by her. So he cursed him to live for forever.
I kind of wonder if in game they would work that into where if Deadpool dies in game, his respawn is essentially him like in the Death Valley area, and then he gets just spit back out.
That's possible.
I mean, I don't know if they put that
Mhm.
much work into it, but it'd be
They
neat.
haven't put any villains in yet, but I mean, and if they added in Thanos later,
Don't they have?
there's
Yeah,
not a
now that
single
you're-
villain.
Now that you've mentioned it, you're right. Well, it's because at the beginning of
No,
every
I
match,
think Doctor Doom is going to be the first one.
I mean, to be fair, Punisher is not a hero. He's
well,
an
he is an
anti-hero.
but he's also
Yeah.
not a villain. But at the
That
beginning
is
of every
true.
match, the announcer says, "Choose your hero or villain. I'm not judging." And so that's why in my brain I was like, "Well, clearly, no. I just
Yeah,
didn't pay
there are
attention
no
to some of them."
villains yet. No villains yet.
Huh.
I believe Doctor Doom is probably going to do the first one, especially because one, they did the Doctor Doom thing in the when it first started, and two, it'll tie in with the
Well,
Fantastic Four and the Avengers Doom.
Magneto is
yep,
kind of a
That's what I was gonna
villain.
say.
Well,
Magneto is
You gotta,
not
you okay?
great.
You definitely have to
Oh, okay,
lean him
yeah.
towards villainy. Then, and
The,
Venom, I will definitely lean the other way towards middle, but
but
he's
Venom
not just
in recent
evil.
years has not been a villain in
That is
actually
true.
quite a while. He has become very much an anti-hero. He has not been a villain in years. But yeah, Magneto.
Hela is a
Yeah,
villain.
I don't know anything about her, so
She was in one of the second Thor movies. She tried to kill everybody. Like she's awful.
I don't know if
Well, I
I.
mean,
I
Loki
keep
started off
forgetting
as a
about
villain
Hela.
too, and then moved over into an anti-hero. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of them that have moved over into anti-hero because Magneto's the same way. Like he started out as the X-Men villain, and then he's joined the X-Men, and he's been an ally, and
But he's not a
every once in a
hero.
while,
Yeah.
every once in a while he goes back to like a villain arc, and then he goes back to being just like right
Uh,
now in the comics he's just basically just trying to keep the mutants alive.
I mean,
Scarlet Witch. I mean, you watch the movie. She's definitely a villain. The things that she does to get what she wants.
well, then she also went from villain to good to villain if you base it on the movie series too.
Exactly.
uh,
But you gotta take it what the biggest thing that they did, and what she did in her movie was kind of awful. And Loki, I would again put him right down in the middle of the road because
Well,
whenever he
what
wakes up,
chaos.
he
in the
feels.
movie, well, what she did in the movies, it kind of happened in the comics too. She had like a complete mental breakdown,
Yeah.
oh,
and
so-
just kind of went off the rails. And she's done that a few times. She actually did it in the comics
Oof.
and caused the House of M where she got rid of like 99% of mutants,
Oof.
like just boom, no, like 99% of them didn't have their powers anymore.
that's wild.
Well,
And no new ones were being born.
Bog's like, finally something I can pontificate upon at length. Things I know something about, finally.
That nerd shit.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we're talking about video games in general. I think that
I
classifies.
know,
but
right?
Yeah, I mean it all fits into Marvel world, but I mean even a lot of their skins in the game correspond to the shit they've done in the comics. So like the what is it, the Invisible Woman, I forgot what the fuck it's called, the one where she's in the fucking bondage leather.
Oh yeah, that one. The skin that sold very very fast.
I'm not buying
Uh,
skins. That's all I'm saying.
I've
not
almost
spending
got
money.
enough. I've almost got enough to buy my skin, and I'm only getting money through the battle pass.
The free version.
So I've almost got enough to buy my Luna Snow skin. It's Luna Snow set. So
Oh, I didn't
I need
know
to play
that
more,
was-
get more.
I mean you play her a lot, so
I do. I figured if I'm gonna save up all of these coins that I'm getting for free, I'm gonna buy her skin set, and because I really like it.
I almost have enough for the Scarlet Witch one. I'm like 850.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one.
what?
That's the free skin. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
close to that one too. I mean, the battle pass is fun and it feels rewarding. Actually, like even
You
as
like
a
it better
free
than
player.
loot boxes from Overwatch? We'll go Overwatch 1's loot box style, where if you got duplicates,
Yeah, I
it
haven't
gave
even
you
played
money
Overwatch 2.
to. I mean, we did play Overwatch
No,
2, but
no, I think Overwatch loot boxes were fucking like peak. Like you get one every time you level up, and any duplicates gave you coins that you could use to buy anything else that you wanted. Like I feel like that method
Yeah,
was
so if you
good.
weren't pulling what you wanted, you at least could save up and purchase it.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could
Mhm.
always have access to it, whatever you wanted.
I mean, I get why they changed it because so many countries were like, no, you got to get rid of the loot box shit
I
because
think it's
it's gameplay.
I think it's because you could buy loot boxes.
Yes,
That was the
if they
problem.
did not
they
make
had
it so you
cut
could
out
buy them,
that and let you buy coins instead, which I think originally you could also buy coins specifically.
yeah,
But then it went to just buying the loot boxes. Yeah, I don't have a problem with them being like, yeah, you got to change that. But I did kind of like the Overwatch method as well. I feel like you felt like you were getting more, even though you probably weren't. But I don't like them selling loot boxes. I don't like grab bag bullshit. I hate that. I know it's the thing. You can go to the store right now and there's like aisles and aisles at Target or Walmart or wherever that is just like essentially real life loot boxes that kids are supposed to want. I hate that. I hate it so much.
It's unbelievable how filled the toy sections are with mystery grab bags, mystery grab boxes, mystery eggs, mystery this, and it's like, good God. This is not anywhere near what it was like when I was a kid. I used to be able to go to the store and get a toy.
Yeah.
Now you buy a fucking box and hope you get something cool in it. But
I still go and buy toys, so.
I mean, so do we. I've got a 4-year-old. He loves his toys.
Yeah,
Doctor's just buying them for him.
Yeah, you do you.
I don't have a 4-year-old.
I definitely don't do anything. I don't have any toys. I'm a grown up. Stop looking behind me.
Well, look at me. I am the 4-year-old.
I mean, I've got plenty of toys too.
I mean,
come on. What are these things sitting right here?
Turtles.
One of these classic Burger King.
I have those. I have the whole set. Damn it.
I did too, but then I got rid of them over years and years and years.
You probably
I don't even know if
lost
that was
some
mine.
of them.
Oh
I
yeah,
have them on the shelf right now.
yeah. There you go. No.
And I have a Kirby that is forever eating a Yoshi.
Because he hates that guy.
I absolutely hate that little bastard.
Just fuck that guy in particular.
Yoshi's so cute though.
I agree.
The fuck he is.
Dude had 2 bad experiences or however many bad experiences and he hates it for life.
More than 2.
More than 2. Less than 25,000, but more than 2. Anyway, we got off tangent quite significantly.
Well, okay,
we're talking about them laying off people at Marvel
We were
Rivals.
still talking about
Yeah,
Rivals.
we
I'm
were
just
talking
That is
about
true.
Rivals.
That is true.
And there's like
it
no
sucks.
actual news outside of that, so I say we're okay.
That was
I mean,
27 minutes of the ones that have no news.
Hey, that's fine. We're just being passionate about what we like. But as for this, I've thought about buying some stuff from the Marvel Rivals game, but I mean, after this, I'm a whole lot less inclined. Also,
Yeah.
quality going down, but I'm a whole lot less inclined to put money into the game now. I'm just going to play it for free and then get free coins and buy what I want with their stuff. So, I mean, but this is the industry now.
Yeah.
This is it.
This is what
This
we get
is
with
how it
live
works.
service stuff, which I know there was like, it's not really, I guess it was an article, but Phil Spencer was talking about how he doesn't feel like every game has to be a live service. And I hard agree with that. Not every game needs to be something that you have to be in for the next 30 years. You know, it's okay if they have a start and a middle and an end, and that's good and that's fine. But we also have, you know, live service games that we know will be forever and ever. And Chicken's right. I thought about doing the Battle Pass thing because we play enough that I was like, well, that I could probably justify that. But then
Yeah, I could drop $10 here, and maybe in like
with
4 or 5
something
months
like
drop
this,
another
I was
$10.
like, yeah, but I just don't want to.
The way I look at it now is that no matter who you are, no matter what part of your job is in the video game industry, consider yourself always and forever just a contract worker. At any point when you're done,
The studio
they will
is
just
gonna
let you go.
implode, maybe,
Just
or
let you
whatever.
go.
Which is, I mean, to be honest, you know, like, again, we've stated this before, the comparison is the movie industry. When you've
Yes.
made a movie, everybody goes to the next job. And so it's like, if you're working for a particular company, eventually the individual company employees are going to go away. It's going to be contractors and contractors only. And
maybe,
so
but you got to look at some of these companies. Like Larian does not. They are a studio, an inclusive studio that kind of uses their people.
I would
but
also
they're
argue Larian is, when you're dealing with
an outlier for sure.
with like they're not the top tier. They're just below when it comes to the amount of money they have to spend and everything else that goes along
True.
with that. I would say they are going to be more particular about who they bring in and how they manage that,
That is
versus trying to push out and make as much money quickly to pay for what you have, which is what happens with the bigger studios. Because and a lot of those are publicly traded, where Larian is a private studio. So that's another thing.
So what you're saying is publicly traded studios are the problem.
Basically.
I mean,
perfect.
to be fair,
I mean-
publicly traded everything is kind of the problem.
Yes,
Definitely
but
part of the
profit
problem.
over art. Like you get people that are passionate, which we've been saying for years, and you get things like Baldur's Gate 3, and it's like, wow. And then you get people who are just part of big studios that come and go, and you get things like Dragon Age, Dreadwolf. It's like,
It was called the Veilguard upon launch. Thank you, because they couldn't decide on a name.
Sorry, but yeah, like. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Pick and choose your games carefully now, folks.
And your employment, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
If you're
consider
in the
yourself
game
a contractor. Yeah.
But I would also look at it from a standpoint of, I would like to know, if I'm working for Larian, how much money am I make for however long that I'm there, right? Versus working for, I don't know, EA. How long would I be working for EA, and how much money would I be making? And would it be worth, knowing that I'm going to probably lose that job based on how it is that time worth it or not?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because EA is a garbage company to work for, so even if you are making a lot of money, you are physically and mentally suffering for it. Whereas you could make a little bit less money, but have a way better, work-life balance and experience with a company that's actually going to let you realize at least some of your artistic visions versus
and some people were willing to make that sacrifice.
Some people are.
Yeah.
Good luck to you people. Enjoy your shorter lives, I guess.
Yeah. Some people are willing to make that sacrifice because they can look at it as a stepping stone too to something else. And go, I can make this
money. That is
money.
very true. Like, go and work for one
I
of
can
them.
put EA on my resume and whatever game it was I worked on, and move forward with that. Which you could do the same with Larian. And but the deal is I think Larian's a forever job.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Because you're willing to take that risk for now. If Larian ever gets bigger than they are, the dynamic could change. Because now they have that pressure on them that the bigger studios have.
And I completely agree. You go to EA, get a little on your record or whatnot, and then hopefully you look more attractive to somebody like Larian, and they'll bring you into the fold completely. And you're like, yes, that's what I want. I'm going to go work these fast food video game jobs for a little while and try to get my resume a little bigger, and then I want to look for one of the good studios.
But I think if you were given a choice, it's like, oh, well, both EA and Larian have accepted my applications. What am I going to do? EA is going to pay me more, but probably chop my studio down in 6 months. But Larian,
Yeah, but again, it depends on would it outweigh? If they're paying me $50,000 at Larian and they're paying me $500,000 over at EA, I might, for 6 months, I might take the EA job because that's 10 times the amount I'm getting paid for 1 year. You know what I mean? And it's be like, oh, if I could live on $50,000, I could just sit back and chill and do what I wanted to make my own game. You know?
That's very true too. So it kind of depends. Like, are you just looking to be a contractor, kind of like what Ollie does? Good shit, Ollie. You make good work. And he gets contracting jobs, and he can kind of work at his own pace. He kind of gets to do his own thing. He gets jobs brought to him, or goes and looks for jobs and does his part, and then sends it back, and he's good to go.
More people in the industry need to contact him to make butts. I'm just saying. We would
he is the king of butts.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Have you seen? I know that was like one game a million years ago, but I need to bring it back all the time. Best butts
he's
in the
a
industry.
baker with the kind of cake he makes.
That's right. Oh man, I'm sorry. It's just every time I think about what Ollie makes,
it's butts.
It is. It's like peak.
It's butts in a good way.
Yeah, butts in a good way. It's great. He needs, you know what? He needs to befriend the people that made the hot tub scenes for that game that Chicken played. Jen.
Ghost of
yes,
Tsushima.
Thank you.
Tsushima.
They need to hook up together, and that would be one of the best games ever made. I'm just saying. Doesn't matter what the content is. Best game. Best game.
It's just a simulator that you get in and out of a hot tub with.
I'm pretty sure there's one of those on
Yeah,
I'm
Steam
pretty sure there
already.
is too, but the butts are not at the level that you
Yeah.
need them to be because he didn't make them.
That's right. Oh man. This is just equal opportunity because there are already so many games that have overtly sexualized the women in the game and then said, well, the dudes over there, I guess. We need more games that pay attention to the dudes too, okay? I'm just saying. Just saying.
Which is ironic because a lot of the games are like the protagonist was
Yeah,
male for
but
so
that's
many
the thing
years.
is they don't necessarily care about how the protagonist looks. They care about how the protagonist's hot hookup looks. I
Okay,
mean,
hold on, hear me out. We could revamp Duke Nukem, but it's Diane Nukem, okay? And instead of the regular strip club scene that was in the old one, now you have dudes that are stripping out the thing, and
I
then it's
mean,
equal opportunity, right?
Hey, I say go for it,
can
man.
it be a better game all the way around though? Because the last Duke Nukem game that came out was.
I'm talking about based on the original Duke Nukem and the way it felt. Well, Duke Nukem 3D.
You know, I bet money that if like they made two games, Duke Nukem games, one for the male audience and one for the female audience, I bet money that the female audience, like the meme people, would just play this one just for the hell of it. Like, yeah, this one is the serious game. Then the other one would be the meme game. Like, I bet
I
money
would probably
would,
do the meme version.
right? We would all do the meme version.
Yep.
It's like, yeah.
Diane Nukem.
Especially just to watch a lot of those idiots online just start throwing a bit. It's like, why are they making it a woman? That's oh my god, that's so woke. It's like,
Go play the other one then. The other one's unwoke. You have unwoke and woke.
I mean, they probably both.
Or you could
be
just play the
woke.
same game. It's one game. You choose which version of Nukem you want.
Yeah.
That's even
Right?
better.
And it changes. And one of the options in your menu is strippers, male or female. So you could be Duke Nukem and have male
Why
strippers.
even do that? Why
or
not
you
just
could-
make the strip
Oh my
club be
God.
equal opportunity where it's 50-50 at the strip club?
Yeah, but then
That'll
you
work
get people
too.
that are going to complain about having
Well,
the
I don't
option.
care
How
about
dare
those
you
people.
give
Those
me the
people need to
option?
shut up.
You know what? We had car closing, car door closing technology. We can have strip club changing
You know,
technology. in
I'm
this
actually
game.
kind of glad that you mentioned that because I told you.
You know what? If
since-
you change the option, the guy, everybody walks back, and then the other ones come out.
Well, I told everybody before the show, I was like, I've been collecting topics for us to have discussions on in case we run into slow news weeks, like this week. And surprisingly, you actually, I was gonna be like, oh, pick a number and we'll talk about whatever that is. But that's actually one of my questions. What is a technology that got added to games that at the time was like super, super, super impressive? It may not have lasted forever or changed how we view games, but something that you were impressed with that most games were not doing before then. Like the door closing technology, where somebody walks beside an obstacle and moves said obstacle out of the way while still being in world. Anything?
Oh, everybody already knows mine.
Door closing? Just kidding.
No, the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
When it
Oh,
came
Nemesis
out,
says hands down, yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
you know
I mean,
what?
in my opinion, there's no system that has come close to that.
And you know what's crazy is that Wonder Woman game was supposed to have it in, and they've taken it out of that game. That game has been completely rebooted, and they've taken the Nemesis
We actually
system
talked
out.
about that when you were out of town last time.
Oh my
Yeah, we
god,
talked
I'm
about it.
so
Chicken
upset about that.
is the biggest fan of the Nemesis system that exists. Like, this man is the biggest proponent. So, of course, he was heartbroken to find out that it was ripped from yet another.
It was so brilliant. And they were like able to make 2 games with it. It's like, at least give me another game with it in there. You patented that
License it
technology.
out. Let other people use it. There
Yeah.
are so many options and so many worlds that you can put a system like that in that like just creates a dynamic set of content behind the scenes, and it draws everybody in as it plays out. Like, oh my god, having personal enemies like grow to your play style. And then, like, even if you kill them, it's not guaranteed gone. They will ambush you while you're in the middle of doing something random. Stealth through a mission, you're trying to be all stealthy and work towards a different objective, and then you just get ambushed from behind because you beat the shit out of a dude and he got away last time and he's coming back for you.
Well,
Like,
that's
oh,
what made
yeah.
so much sense with it being in a Wonder Woman game, because superhero, I mean, like, think of comic books in general. The villains hardly ever die, right?
Right.
They always come back some way. And the same thing kind of is what I was expecting with that. It would have been like, oh, that'd been so neat to have that. And then nope.
Yeah, imagine you're Wonder
Oh.
Woman. You're fighting one of your villains and whatnot, and then the other one that you beat up a few chapters ago decides to jump into the middle of this one, which is unscripted, and to try to help their buddy. And now you're 2v1, and it's like, oh shit. Like, okay, cool. Now you've got to adjust constantly because you don't know what's going to happen in each of the combats.
Yeah.
So, again, so frustrated that a system like that is just completely ignored of what it could do for certain video games. I mean, I've thought about one in Batman.
There's the WB is supposed to be working on. Now, I don't know who's making it as part of their groups, but I'm hoping it's the same people that worked on the originals. But there's supposed to be a new Batman game that's being worked on, like rebooting Batman series.
I mean, that'd be a good one to put it in.
And that'd be a fantastic one to put it in. Like, just
yes.
even the gameplay, if you really think about it, is very similar to what you would deal with Lord of the Rings, in the fact that Batman climbs, has ways to traverse, all the stuff that you deal with that. And then it's like, but if imagine fighting some little hoodlum on the freaking ground somewhere when you first started, and then later on, he's like progressively gotten, like a bigger villain.
Yeah,
like,
he gets promoted into like lieutenant category, and then right up underneath the big guy, like the different sections of the map are held by different villains and whatnot. And as like if one of the lower beats you, then he gets promoted into that villain's area, moving up in the gang and things like that, and gets different powers or has different abilities. Like, oh, he can now sense when Batman's around. Like he's like, hey, I know he's around here. I heard that. And then now you have to be careful with villains like that, because now he can tell his other ones and they're always going to be aware. You don't have the stealth approach when he's in the area. You've got to change it. You got to be more aggressive now. So like there are a lot of options, and I've talked about it so many times over the years. And I think did that game come out in 2017? Shadow War?
I think so.
That sounds about right.
War. Let's see, 2000. Yep, 2017. So it has
made
been
that much of an impact. He has that date in his head.
I have it pulled up. September 27, 2017. And it did improve the system too. Like they Shadow of War is better than Shadow of Mordor. And then they just let it go. It's like, all right, cool, we're never going to use that again. Lovely. Cool. Frustrating, but whatever. Can't do much about it.
Well, I guess,
but it is a good one though.
Less
Very cool.
less, I don't know, large scale, but something smaller that it kind of makes life a little bit better for me. And I didn't know for sure, but it's big in Mass Effect where you get on an elevator and that's the load screen. So it doesn't have like a dedicated between. But Jak and Daxter was actually the first series to do that in 2001, where they did things like slow door openings or an elevator or things like that, so that it would skip a load scene, but it was the load scene, essentially. I like that. I feel like that adds like continuity and helps with your immersion than just every time you go somewhere you hit a load screen.
Yeah, a lot of times in modern games now, like we'll use Uncharted for an example. So the parts where you're crawling between a wall, that's your load scene.
Yeah, which is not surprising because Jak and Daxter, that would be Naughty Dog. So
right.
That makes sense. They kind of pioneered that and kept it through most of their stuff, which, again, kind of a small thing, but also kind of a big deal.
No, that's a good one for
Not
sure.
as hotly debated as the Nemesis system, I would argue.
No, but I feel like it's utilized more. I don't know if there's even a patent on it. You know what I mean?
Well,
but
it's one of those things where you don't think about it now because it's almost standard practice to not have load screens as often as we used to. But back in the day, and even in some newer games, you still run into a lot. But like it just feels better to be like, oh, we're on an elevator. I understand as an irrational thing that this is because we're loading into the next area, but it has like the voice track that's giving any news on the speakers essentially, or your squad mates talking to each other about something. So it's less immersion breaking than just black screen load. You still have load screens, but...
Well, Resident Evil kind of did that. Their doors are load screens, but you're kind of like still immersed because you're going through the door. So every time you hit a door, you open it to walk through, and then you're instantly on the other side.
Yeah.
So it was like an early iteration of that. It's still a load screen, but they showed you what you were doing into it.
During the
So it is interesting to watch the evolution of that, to try to hide the load screens more and more to keep you into the game.
yeah,
It's very neat.
feels good, feels smooth.
Yes. Hmm.
There's also, I don't think we really think about it because the idea of a shield or like shield capabilities or something that we just think of all the time as having now in a lot of games. Halo was the first one to do that though, where you took damage.
Not in the
a
first
shield?
game.
Yeah,
Not in
your
the first
shield
game. I don't
popped
think so.
off,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then you'd
yeah.
have to step back from taking damage while it was like beep 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 beep, so that you would heal back
Yeah.
up. That was something that Halo started. That I learned
Interesting.
recently that was
Fascinating.
a Halo thing.
Yeah, they still had the health bar back then too in the original one. Where it was,
Well, and
you
they've
had
got
the
a
shield
version
bar.
of it. They've got a version in the Call of Duty games. Basically, as long as you're hidden, your screen will go bloody, right? But as long as you're hidden, your body heals back up. You know, and so it's like they've did a version of that later on. I never thought about that. That's crazy.
Recovering shield, yes. Which, I mean, it makes sense that it was in like a sci-fi shooter because that just seems like such a sci-fi concept when you really think about it. But now we have it pretty often in a lot of things. So
Yeah, I think the Call of Duty one is like a hidden shield where they just use the blood on your screen as the shield marker, and then as
Right.
it heals, it fills back up. So just or a hidden version of that. So it's neat. It's neat.
Am I the only one that thinks about these things? Maybe I'm just like a weird.
No,
weirdo.
I'm just trying to. I was trying to think about it because it's one of those where, like, if there's certain games, and the problem you run into is like how many of these are patented that we don't know are patented. You know what I mean? Like the Nemesis system we know is because it was you know, it was something that we were talking about at the time when it was happening. But I feel like you know, like when you're playing different games, that there's just certain things that feel good about it, and nobody was else like the second Spider-Man game, not the newer versions of the Spider-Man games, but the ones that are based on the original movies. When you have Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2, that traversal system, nobody has been able to duplicate properly until they came out with the newest ones, to where it felt good. But that particular one felt so good, and you felt like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But if you think of the way that the combat happens in that game and the combat happens in the Batman games, that idea of, and it also works that way in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, is is where you get an indicator above your head to say somebody's about to attack you. Let me quickly hit a button to block that, and it just feels fluid. And that is something that, like, Assassin's Creed can't make up their mind what they want to do for battle when you're in a situation like that. But those games make you feel like a superhero, and that right there, I want in every third person game that I have to fight something. I want it so bad in so many levels. Like, it, you know, I've been playing through Stellar Blade, and I love the combat, but I want that as part of my combat.
Okay.
But you considering one game is Marvel and the other game's DC, I'm going to say nobody's patented that. You know what I
Probably
mean?
not.
You know, and they were done by two different studios. I think Rocksteady did the Batman one, and then you've got is it Insomnia that did the new Spider-Man games?
Insomnia.
Yeah. Insomniac. Yeah.
Yes.
Here's an interesting one: The Legend of Zelda. They had a little battery inside of the cartridge so that you could save your game. Couldn't save games before that.
Nope,
That's
it,
fair.
it was all password systems.
Yep. Until The Legend of Zelda, and they put the battery inside. There was no way to save a game. So that's an interesting one. Also, BRs too. Minecraft's BR, when that came out, that changed the landscape of gaming. Cause
Minecraft did a lot though. Like, I don't know if they were the first to do procedurally generated, but it definitely kicked off the big movement for a lot of procedurally generated survival games. Like, that was pretty huge.
I found a Reddit thread of a bunch of people talking about a bunch of different things that have
You
changed the landscape
probably
of
are
gaming.
looking at the same one that I looked at when I originally wrote down this prompt. Is it from like 7 months ago?
6 months ago.
Ah, close enough.
Half-Life. First game to have no forced cinematics. You are free whenever a cinematic starts up. You are free to
Skip that
go away,
bitch.
look at a wall, go on with your business. Like the story will keep playing out no matter what you do, and you could just walk and just keep going on about your
Just
business.
mind your business.
My
Pretty
boss
much.
starts giving his big epic speech, and you just kind of walk off in a corner.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, get back here.
Um. Oh, Infamous. Infamous had some good systems that were set up. Like the original, that is a good game when it comes to. First of all, it was a superhero that they created for themselves. It wasn't an existing thing, and going on the original Infamous game, going into I've got a little bit of power. Oh, this is nice. Then I got a little bit more power. Oh, this is better. Until you feel like a god at the end.
But don't by the end of the game, the original Infamous, don't you turn into kind of the anti-hero or like close to villain?
Kind of close to villain.
You're like villain adjacent almost.
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often either for the main player character to turn into kind of the bad guy. Or I mean, in some games, I guess full on the bad guy. And you mentioned that. I will say one of the pieces of technology that gaming has introduced, and it's PlayStation specific, and I feel like they have yet to make it feel like it fits in anything. It's just annoying to me. Is the DualSense controller and everything? They're like, in Infamous Second Son, you need to spray paint stuff. So what you do is you shake the controller to shake up the can, and then you spray paint with a little pad. Or in the Last of Us 2 that we're playing right now, it's like, oh, your flashlight's battery's kind of iffy. Better shake the controller randomly. Like,
I do not like
me
that
shake my
one.
controller. It's stupid.
I don't like that one. I don't care.
Just
that
because
so
the
gimmicky.
ability's there, it should not be a thing.
It feels
and
like
nobody in real life. I would get it if they were like, hey, this is a wind-up one, and I had to do this every once in a while. But every battery that I have a wind-up one that I use for like emergencies if we lose power or something like that, so we don't have to have the batteries laying around. And it lasts for like 20 minutes if I wind that sucker up, not 30 seconds.
Yeah. It's really, and it's, I mean, I get it. It's one of those things where like you've seen in movies and stuff, and people do it in real life too, where like you're using a flashlight or something with a battery in it, and it starts to kind of flicker and go, and instead of replacing the batteries like a normal human, you're like click click click. Oh, it's still good. Like, I get it, but don't make me do it while I'm playing a video game. You didn't actually give me like a gun peripheral controller. So stop trying to make me pretend that my controller, which is also my gun and my backpack and everything else, is my flashlight too. Stop it. Like,
or that my flashlight works perfectly well unless I'm in an area that I need the flashlight.
I just,
like,
it
works
feels
fine.
so
Oh, in this area, I've
unintuitive
got to shake it.
for it to be like, it feels shoehorned is what it is. That's what it is. It feels like shoved in there. Like, look what the controller can do. Yeah, we know your controller can do that, but it's kind of useless in this. Please stop. I think that Sony's just like, make sure that everybody uses it because we spent the money on the technology and it's in there. So make people do it.
No, don't do it.
Stop it. Stop that.
No.
Another game that completely changed the foundation of gaming at that point was GTA 3.
Because it's open world? Or it does the open world differently?
It was the first fully explorable 3D open world that old people back in the day when it came out, it was like, how can you allow people to do that kind of stuff in a game? It's
They still
horrible.
do that now with GTA, to be fair.
Yeah,
And the bad part about it is, it's the people just like 5 years older than I am that are complaining. They grew up with GTA 3 and they're complaining about it. And it's like, stop buying it for your kids, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, it started to become a personal responsibility thing. Don't buy it for your kids.
Yeah. My parents bought it for me. Why wouldn't I buy it for my kids? I don't know. Your kid's 7 years old and you got them out there like picking up hookers and shooting people? Maybe not a good idea.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Just, putting that out there. But yeah, it changed what you could do or what you could see. It had fully open world, driving cars, weather, radio stations, like people. It made the game feel alive, which was something that wasn't there back in the day. So that game was just completely changing.
What year
and
did
then,
that come out?
GTA 3. Ooh, man.
2000.
It was 2001.
I was 2 years
Okay.
off.
October 22, 2001.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was my roommates and I that were all playing it on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And we were playing it, and we had whole discussions about it, and it was very interesting because it was like we would take turns playing, but it was because we had one PlayStation 2 because it's that's all you had at the time.
Yeah.
And one television in the house. And I was like, and all of us living in the one place, but it was fun, like playing together, and it was something that was different. But like now you kind of take it for granted, I guess. And now they've taken it. If you think about what they've done with GTA 5 and the fact that they went, okay, not only are we going to have this single player campaign, but we're also going to create this online element, and then the community goes, oh, and we can mod it, and we can have RP the entire thing. And then they're like, Rockstar's like, oh yeah, we could just buy that company and make money off of it that way too. And so they've figured out a way to do it, but it's very interesting to me on how that's progressed now that you've mentioned it. So from one point to the other,
Yeah.
like,
it's pretty neat though to think about
Yeah.
stuff, like where we got stuff. Like, well, I guess this one might be kind of like more up Baka's alley, but I also learned that things that we like, combos and all of that stuff in fighting games, Killer Instinct was the first game to introduce combo breakers.
Oh, interesting.
So you could like
a
fuck
combo
somebody-
breaker.
Yeah, you could fuck up somebody else's combo and be like, nah, you don't. No, sir, not today. So
I bet
didn't
they
know
did that kind of stuff. I bet they did that kind of stuff because of the cheese people who would just like push you to the edge of the screen and do one thing
You
over
mean
and over and
Baka?
over again.
Baka the cheese
I was-
strat over there.
I wasn't
did more,
saying-
I'm sorry. I did more than one thing. I got you in a corner and did a series of combos to beat your ass. Thank you very much.
You still cheesed it.
Yeah.
I just assumed that because combos existed, that there had always already been combo breakers.
combo
but apparently,
breakers?
that's not the case.
No,
So-
that a lot of that came about on accident with like Street Fighter 2.
Well, I mean, it seems like if you put something like that in, that people could abuse it. You probably should have always had combo breakers when you made combos, but nah.
They weren't like I mean with Street Fighter 2 when people were doing the combos and stuff originally, it was all unintentional. People being able to do that, and they're just like, well, people like it, so we're just going to keep it in.
Well, I
And
guess
that they
people
kind
like
of started
it.
forming the fighting games from there, and then it's like, oh, now we have kind of a slight issue of people just getting others in the corner and just knocking them in the air and just keeping them up in the air and juggling them, and they can't do anything.
It's like every time I play.
Then Killer Instinct came along and fucking ruined my fun.
Sorry,
That's how it
Baka.
works.
You're not
Sorry,
you're
sir.
ruining everybody else's fun by doing that to start with. So they're just
But
evening
look,
the playing.
I'm worried
field.
about my fun.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Baka the real bro over there. Yeah.
That's all he was worried about.
I
Just
know,
him.
right? I know. I mean, it is what it is.
But
I
look,
guess.
it was done to me, and I had to learn.
You should not just
So,
okay.
I am
Violence
just
does not
fighting
need to
a-
beget violence, you know. In most
Okay.
cases.
No, the violence just shouldn't be the answer always, but it is often a very effective answer.
I mean, I hate that you're right about that.
It
but
depends on the situation. Somebody stealing something on accident? No, you don't beat the shit out of them. Like, that's not how it works.
don't bring that back.
I'm just saying, like, it depends on the severity of whatever the hell the violence is calling for.
I will
If
say-
somebody else is beating somebody else, yeah, I can see you jumping in and violencing the other person.
back to the gaming side of things, I will say there's also things we have terms now that are because of specific games like Souls-like or roguelike or Metroidvania style. Yeah. So that's I guess that counts as technology that changed how we play games.
I wouldn't say technology. I would say that is terminology that has
Well, that's
changed or
terminology, but
evolved.
there's specific things in those games that like
Well,
define
I think
new genres.
it was creating. It was a way to basically, if you think about it, you had an action adventure game, RPG, that specific had a specific formula. When they started continuing to create, and what's especially when you think about the fact that you had Demon Souls, then you end up with your and that kind of started your Souls-like style games. But Demon Souls itself, I just heard a thing on it the other day. Evidently, did not sell well when it first came out because it was originally in Japan only.
Yeah,
Because this goes back to like Super Mario 2 that was too hard for Americans to play, so they ended up creating a version of it for just Americans. It was kind of a similar thing, except they eventually just moved that one over to the US.
yeah.
But you know, it's but I like the fact that has become a genre. I just don't like the fact that it seems to be every fucking game that's being released
Is the Souls like?
is a Souls-like. It's like, this has got a really good plot line and fun, and people enjoy it. It's a Souls-like. Well, turned off immediately right there because
Yeah,
it's like
ooh. Oh no. Okay, never mind.
But that's
oh,
fine. I
right.
mean, it's just part of it. Not every game is meant to be for everybody.
We have so many games that we should be able to find one that fits our tastes, I guess is what you're saying. Which
Yeah,
is,
exactly. Like, you either get good and play it,
Get Scrub.
or you don't. Like, and if you really do want a game like that is Souls-like that you can kind of learn with, Sekiro is a great one, because you may look at it and be like, that's a Souls-like game, but if you play it, it's more of a rhythm-based game. Like, because there aren't like it all plays out the same way. You just have to learn how the rhythm plays. Clap, 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 dodge, clap, 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 parry, clap, 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 dodge. Like, it's always going to be the same style, same way.
I'd
Like,
also
there's not.
argue that some of that comes down to how much do you want to play the game. Because
Yes.
back in the day when there was not as much variety, it was do you want to play this game? Okay, well, you're going to have to get good. So you pick out whatever it is that you want to get good at and then spend hours and hours and hours getting good at it. Like, I spent so much time.
That's why we have good game. That's why we have some
Mario.
good gamers these days.
It's one of those things where it's like, why that one? Well, because I sucked at platformers, so the other Mario games were out, and I wanted to play a game. So I picked Dr. Mario, and I spent a lot of time make myself better at it.
I'm gonna be a grumpy old man now. That's why people aren't good at video games anymore. They suck because everybody gets the hold me option, and it's like, oh yeah, is this too hard for you? Well, you can just play whatever. It's like,
I don't think every game needs to be casual, but I do think that there needs to be a variety. Not every game should be
accessible. Is the word now? Every game should be accessible, is what a lot of people say.
Well, I see what Oak is saying though. Not every game has to be get good scrub difficulty. There should be
I
variety.
completely agree.
I mean, it's the same thing when like we were talking about earlier. Everyone needs to do a live service game. And it's like, stop. Not every game needs to be a live service game. Not every game needs to have multiplayer. Not every game, not every game needs to have a fucking BR attached to it for some stupid reason, because this universe deserves one.
I'm glad that that's over with.
Yeah, I'm glad we're moving away from that.
And it's like, there needs to be a variety of game. And then we're going to go through this every time. Auto shooters has become a thing. There's a ton of them that are out there. But you got to go through and figure out which one you really like. And it's like,
and if you like it, you have to be good at it.
Yeah, enough to be good at it. Yep. And then you have, I like the game styles that the game presents one way and might change at some point.
Like what?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
The way that the game was promoted was Brutal Legend was promoted as an action adventure game, and it's not. It's an RTS that's built inside that adventure game.
Yeah,
so
I know. I was a little confused when I actually played that the first time.
But EA knew they weren't going to be able to sell an RTS game that way, so they promoted it as an action adventure. And when the demo was released, it was released as the beginning part of the level for the first hour of the game. It's an action adventure game, and then after that, it goes into the RTS. So. And then there's games like Undertale that have like deeper things that change how the game is played, and you find out later on whether you should have played the game a different way than you did. Or there is there was another one recently that changed completely too, and I can't think of what it is. But there's I like games that kind of change up that gameplay. Oh, the God, what is it called? The near games, I think it is what
Near
it is.
Automata.
Yeah, so like some of it's in platforming, some of it is going to be actual third person battles that you're fighting. Some of it has other elements to the game. There's some games that have mini games built into it. The card game, I have it and I've played part of it and I really no, not that one. The other one, it's where you're fighting it. It's basically a card battler for a little bit. It's I can't think of the top of my head. I'll pull it up in a minute. But you start off that way, and it's kind of creepy, and it shows you how to play.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I know which one you're
talking
talking
about. And then it ends up being like a big story game, essentially.
Yeah, it's a huge story, and
Yeah.
that game changed several times on how the gameplay changes in it.
Or Doki Doki Literature Club, where it's
what
like,
style
oh, look at this cute little JRPG.
Yeah.
Not kidding, it's a horror game, by the way.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's one of those like bait and switches that are really good. Like you're, oh yeah, I don't want to play that. You want to play that? Okay, cool. This is a cheat. Okay.
What just happened?
Okay. No, okay. That's not what I was expecting out of this game.
But I love the fact that that's an option for games. Like it's one of those where it's like you start off one way and you're playing through it. Like I'm playing, of course, I've already said before, I'm playing Stellar Blade right now. But the style of the game, you don't know what you're getting into with the game, whether you're going to be going, okay, this is just a waifu simulator that you're going to be playing at the end of the day, or is this going to be an actual really good action game? And I've really enjoyed it. The gameplay is really good. The storyline is really good. I've pretty much figured out what's happening with the storyline, but it's one of those where it's like it's being well told, so I'm not mad about that. The boss battles are really fun. The voice acting's not bad. It's not, it's normally a Japanese style game, and I'm doing the English version of it. But I'm enjoying it. Like, and of course they do have the element of, oh look, you can do this for somebody, and you'll get a new outfit unlocked if you want to do that part of it, or you can. But the outfits do nothing. You can roll with the same one that she lands in, and that's all you have to do. So it's not like you're going, oh look, this is a skimpy bikini at the end of there's not really a skimpy bikini that I know of in the game, but this is a skimpy bikini, and oh my god, she's out here fighting these demons or whatever, she's gonna die. No, they don't really care. They're all the same. And it's like, so you can play that game how you want to play it, and they have fishing in the game, which is important to me, because you gotta have fishing. But it's like those variety of inside of the games, I think it's just neat to be able to do that, and there's different elements of games that make games unique, like Mario Odyssey, the Cappy, like the moving Cappy, the hat around, and if you're using the Joy-Cons to do it, it's even better because you've got the little flinging motion and stuff, and it was just a change in gameplay, and really the Wii remotes in general, like or Wiimotes, I guess they were.
Yeah, the Wiimotes.
The Wiimotes were just phenomenal. Like, I think it was you, Griff, that brought over the Raving Rabbids game.
Yeah, it was. That was me.
With the cow, where we had to swing a freaking cow around, and it was hilarious.
I mean, Wii Sports was like huge revolutionary. So.
Yes, leave it to Nintendo to kind of change the hardware version of games and also innovate, because they have had to do it more than any other studio or anybody else out there. They have been making the same Mario game for goddamn nearly 40 years. They have to innovate. They've got to be able to change it somehow, and they keep doing it.
I will say some of the stuff that Nintendo has done with their motion controls, like if it's like, I don't feel like going to the gym, just load up Wii Sports and full commit to playing the tennis one or something, and your gym time's done. Like, you're good. So I got to give it to them on that too. That's pretty.
Their Ring Fit is definitely intense too. That shit'll take it out of you. Like trying to push that bar, you work it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and they did a good job. I think what they did really good with the Wiimote that they couldn't do with the PlayStation Move is PlayStation made theirs like freaking massive.
Yeah.
Like it was just a huge device to hold on to, where I get it. More PlayStation people are going to be adults or adultish age, teenagers and older.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where kids want you're putting a thing in somebody's hand to move it around. It's going to be more of a kid-like game. Like give them that option to be able to hold it. But they did a great job of using that technology and putting it in a very small device.
Yeah.
You know, and making it successful to where, I mean, you would go to restaurants and bars and places like that where Wii's were at. You know, people had fun playing it.
It was fun.
So
It was fun.
and you don't see that anymore. You got the Switch, but it's not the same.
It's still not the same. The Wii was definitely a different animal altogether. So, which is why I guess the Wii U wasn't really an improvement, because it gave you the tablet, but it took away the action, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which is why the Nintendo Switch gave you both.
Yeah, but I would say that they didn't fully recover to the days of, like, the golden days of the Wii, where a lot of stuff was motion control based.
Well, it's because you didn't have it. You didn't have the normal option. Like with the Wii, you had no choice but
you
like the
had to do the
nunchuck
motion.
and the thing. But again, and then they went one direction, which was you only have the tablet, and now they went back. They're like, okay, now you've got the tablet and the motion controls, and you could do either or. You have normal controllers, you've got the hand controllers, you've got the tablet, you got it all this time.
Yeah.
It's like they were like, Wii is great, Switch not so much, or the Wii U not so much. The Switch, okay, good, best of both worlds. All right, we're rocking now.
Well, speaking of things that are fun, I figure it's probably about time for us to talk about what we've been playing so that we can, you know, nerd out on the things that we've been nerding out on. Just
Nerding
a little bit. When Baka comes back and we've swapped to conversation topics, he's going to be like, wait, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
What happened?
I'll talk about the other game that I've been playing. Of course, I've talked about Stellar Blade already, but I have been playing the Mines of Moria game, which I'd played a little bit before, but now I'm playing with people, and so we've gotten further along in the game. It is a survival style game, but you're in the Mines of Moria. You're supposed to be ridding it of, I guess, the leftover orcs and goblins and all the stuff that continues to kind of mess up the mines themselves. And so one of the things that some of the things I've looked at this game and I went, okay, that's an interesting way to do it. Is so they have like a hearth. You can only build where you have an outline that's created from that hearth that you're putting down, and you can build inside of it. There's one that's a campfire that is literally like a foot around the campfire, so you can't really build anything on the outside of it. Then you have one that's a small hearth, then you have a large hearth, and later on you can unlock another hearth. But you can put as many of these down as you want.
Okay.
So if you put a hearth down and you're like, oh, I'm going to put it next to this building, and then we're just going to gut the inside of this building and build what we want on the inside of it, or repair what's there, or whatever, you can do that. And then you're like, oh, wait, it didn't get all of it. You can put another hearth nearby and finish off that area.
Well, that's good.
Which is nice.
You bet.
But one of the things that it does too, which I think is very interesting, is it has to where if you put a hearth down in an area that's like pitch black, it'll light up like a fire from a distance. You're looking at it and you say, oh, I can see the fire in the background like you normally be able to see. But if you stand next to the hearth, it lights up everything.
Oh, nice.
So you can actually see everything within reason of where you're located at, which is nice. The deeper you go into the game, the darker shit gets, and it gives you that option to be able to kind of see, okay, what's our next plan? Okay, well, let's put a hearth down, and we can sit back and look instead of sitting there with a torch and trying to make your way on the outside and kind of figure out where you're at. They do a really good job of creating the atmosphere from Lord of the Rings and making sure that some of the lore and stuff is in there, even though it's just you playing the game basically. But my favorite, oh my God, this was so good. We got up to a point, we have to turn on these pumps to drain an area of water.
Okay.
And the only way to get across, and Old Man and I had already argued about how we were going to get across this water. And I was like, dude, there's no way to cross the water you're talking about, where there's got to be a back way, because I found a gate that said the water had to be lowered before I could open the gate. So that's where my brain was at.
Learn learn to swim.
Right?
Get some floaties.
Well, dwarves can't swim.
Get
Yeah, I
some
was gonna say
floaties.
dwarves can't. You're gonna need some big float. You're gonna need a damn boat
Dwarves
version
can't
of a
swim.
floaty.
So old man goes, oh wait, there's these basically it's scapling, right? And put this up and it goes across and he's like, drop it down and we can make a pier that goes out. And I was like, okay, go ahead, old man, put your pier, because I'm sitting there looking at this water going,
No
it's
way.
not going to be as easy as he thinks it's going to be. He puts 4 of these down. He's about to put the 5th one down, and out from the bottom comes a watcher. And if you know what a watcher is, it looks like a big giant fucking kraken. And it comes up out of the water and just makes this just awful scream. You just hear, come up, and it's massive. And he starts like it's swinging at old man. Old man, all you hear, I'm sitting in the back going, something's about to happen. And sure enough, it did. And I am dying because all I hear is, oh shit. And it is so crazy. Well, during while he's trying to fight, I was like, okay, well, it's the way to kill it. We don't have the stuff yet to kill it yet. He did, I didn't. So I went back to, because there's fast travel systems. So I fast traveled back to our house, made what I needed to, came back, and while I was now, and I am so far away from where he's at, but that sucker is so loud, I can hear it at our house, and you just hear this, like that, and I'm like, good God, why is it so loud? And I was like, I could not imagine, like, if No Pants had just randomly logged in, and he just logged in, and he just hears this whistling sound from nowhere. But I get over there, help him kill the thing. We finished that part of it off. But it was the funniest shit because we got in so many battles. I was walked in and I was like, well, there's no goblins or anything here, but here's one of their bases. Let me destroy this little thing that normally spawns them. And I'm moving along or whatever. And I turn around and there's 10 of them in front of me. And I'm like, no. And so I'm like guiding him around, trying to get away from him, trying to bottleneck him in an area and see if I can kill him. And it was like, because everything just spawned at one time. I don't know what we did to make it happen, but we did. Oh, it was so funny. We had a good time with it, but I definitely, I got distracted by what you just said. Yes, I know. I still have paint on my hands. Thanks.
Saw it.
Meanwhile, my wife has painted an entire room upstairs by herself in one day. It's like, okay. But yeah, it's the game itself is so far is very entertaining. We're playing through the campaign. There's the campaign mode, and then there's the sandbox style. We're playing the campaign mode just because I want to see where this is going, and if we're gonna save the mine, I don't really know what the purpose of it is when we're doing the campaign, but it's got some really fun elements to it, and I like the fact that anything inside of your hearth, so you can make, like I said, you can put as many down as you want to in an area. If as long as one hearth starts to touch another one, you can build from your boxes. It will pull from any of the boxes.
That's nice.
Convenient.
Anywhere in that area, because I ended up building a wall at one point because there are raids and stuff that happen too. So I just went ahead and put a wall up to make it easier for us. But you can pull from those, and I was like, oh, thank God. Instead of having to grab all that stuff, carry it, and it shows how much you have in your inventory fully when you're trying to build, which is nice too. But yeah, cool game.
We did that. We did a game that Oak wanted to play this weekend since it was his birthday weekend. Everybody gets to choose what we're playing. It's called Murky Divers. And I had not heard about it. He sent it out to everybody, and I was like, "What is this thing?" And I was like, I'm gonna hate this because I suck so bad trying to traverse in 3D environments. Like, anytime you're in the water, essentially, I'm terrible at it. But this one actually was not that bad. Except for when we got cursed by the Kraken and had to go backwards and...
Okay, that was funny, though.
It was funny, but it was also terrible. But Murky Divers is like Lethal Company with extra stuff, kind of. Because it's all underwater. You work for the company, essentially, which is the same ideology as that. But the company that you work for is... apparently some sort of shady pharma company, because some of your stuff is you've got to go to a location and get rid of all of the evidence of them doing shady experiments and
Heinous
stuff.
experiments.
Yeah.
Heinous experiments.
Yeah, like you're throwing pieces into a wood chopper and it's like, oh, okay, here goes this head into the wood chopper, here goes this torso into the wood chopper, you know, and things like that. All the while there are these scary things that can follow you.
Experiments.
But before you can even start your let's go find this stuff, where like in Lethal Company, you go to the computer, type in moons, pick the moon that you want to go to, and go there, and then your ship drives you and drops you off. This one, you gotta have a whole team to help navigate the ship to the appropriate areas whilst trying to avoid things that might swim at you, like the Loch Ness Monster. And then if you get hit, you've got to repair your ship and then go back to driving and then getting to places. It's just
keep in mind too, while she's telling you this, we are still underwater inside of the submarine. Like we are swimming inside of this entire thing. So it's like it makes it even more difficult because you're not exactly stable as is.
At no point are you on anything dry. Like it's always even in the sub. And the sub has 2 levels where it's like you've got basically navigation is above and then driving and everything is down below, and you're supposed to have somebody on the walkie-talkie essentially being like, all right, turn east, turn more east, no, too far, or there's a Kraken on the way, and things like that. Like there's so many moving parts to even get to the job.
Yeah,
it's
you
ridiculous.
cannot hear from the radar to the actual driver through the sub.
In the big sub, there are different levels of subs, so that if you're playing with like 1 or 2 people, the sub's a lot smaller.
Good, because I was really curious how anybody with less than 4 or 5 people was going to manage that.
So from my screen standpoint, when we first started, it gave me an option 1 to 2 people, 3 to 5 people, and then 6 to 8 people.
Okay.
So, but here's the thing too. In when you customize your game, which is what we ended up doing, so you customize the game, you can have up to 16 people. I think it was
16 people.
Yeah, I think that's...
You can up to 16 people playing the game. So
that would be a lot of people on that sub, even for the big one.
Yep. So you can't have it that way, and you can also set up how difficult certain things are. And then one of the things that we did based on Chicken's recommendation was turn the timer off on how long it would take you, and it was like 10 minutes, 8 minutes, and 7 minutes, I think, were the time limits. There is no way that I could see grabbing stuff in 10 minutes off, because it takes forever to swim. And then you're trying to go through the tunnel system. You're having to come back in order to get more air. Like
it is in Lethal Company style. All of the maps may look similar when you get there, but the layout is going to be different on how you have to navigate it. And you're not there alone. So, like, keep that in mind. Also, mentioning things that you should turn off. If you play this game, I think Oak is the one that found the setting.
Found it.
Turn off, go to your settings, and turn off the ripple feature. Just save your eyeballs, okay? Like, I get that you're underwater, but there's still that underwater vibe. Even without that, that's just too much. Like that's...
The ripple was constantly in your face, and it was just like... To me, it was like almost headache inducing, because you're trying to move and the screen is constantly moving and it's already pixelated, so it's fucking with your vision, and the ripple. Oh man, it was brutal. Turning that off was a godsend.
Yeah, they're using definitely the same graphics engine as LC does. That's for sure.
Oh yes, 100%.
And there's a lot of like weird monster things, like Lethal Company, where you're like, I don't know what this is, I don't know how it works. A lot of them just eat you. Like that's just it. They're just gonna bite you or whatever. I will say there's less insta kills than in Lethal Company though. You have a chance to get away. And you can swim back up to your ship, close the dive door, and there's a heal right inside. The monsters can't come inside with you though. So be assured that you have enough space, or else you can inadvertently let a monster straight into the sub. But
I inadvertently let 2 monsters into the sub twice.
Inadvertently. I think...
Oh, yeah, trust me. People would follow me in. I'd open up the door, and then I'd be like, here, you guys can have that. I'd let it into the ship, and then I'd leave again. And Chris didn't even notice at one point. I ran in to get away from it, and then ran back out, and she's just talking. Then she gets hit. She's like, what the fuck? There's something in here. Yeah, I was like, I had to not die.
You were so wrong for that, too. I was like, oh, God.
I think one of the funniest, though, is because we didn't know what most of the monsters are. Like, we're, like, learning as we go, like you do with Lethal Company and other games that are similar to that. And at one point, I was like, hey, Snitty, what you doing down there? And then he turned around and Oak came out of I think it was Oak, it was either Oak or Red, came out of the door next to him. And Snitty turns, and then all of a sudden he's like eating him. Because it wasn't actually Snitty. There's a thing that makes a clone of a character and puts their name above the head and everything. But it's a monster. Oh.
Yeah, it was Red. Because we had...
He's like, ah!
I learned about it later on, and then we ended up with 2 of them, because
Yeah.
I ended up being one, and then Red was
already,
one for me.
Yeah, and he's like,
Red
it's
was already
Oak
one.
now, it's Oak now. And I just took a screenshot because the red one was following me, and I knew Red was dead. And I sent it in the Discord, and I was like, there's still you, buddy. There's still 2, okay?
Oh my god.
It was fun though. Like I was like, I don't know what to expect from this, but I expect to be terrible at it because I suck at the 3D navigation. I'm glad that was not as hard for me as I was afraid it was going to be.
And to top it off, on top of trying to reach your quota, which the quota is different. It's not a monetary thing. It's a line that you have to get, a marker that you have to get your green line to. Once you get your green line, you get
so
it.
like destroy this many pieces of evidence or whatever.
If you don't make it off the level you started, you get stars. So depending on what it is. So if somebody dies, then that's a half a star.
Only if you don't get their bodies
if
back.
you don't get their body.
And you got to put their body into the wood chipper, by the way.
Yeah. So you got to hide the evidence. So you get up to 5. It's 5 stars, I think. You get up to 5.
6 stars.
6 stars. You got to get up to 6 stars. If you get 6 stars, the police show up and
with their stormtrooper accuracy.
God.
Yes, and end up arresting you.
And every like level finish is basically your team's group mugshot. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Griff was upside down the first time.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see, because none of us really took advantage of Sentry did, but not everybody took advantage.
Got the EMP vest, and that was huge.
Yeah, the different options that are available. There's these little pills that you can buy. They'll
give you bonuses and abilities and things like that. You got to buy them from the vending machine, and the things in the vending machine change each level. But unfortunately, you have to, as a group of 8 or 7, you have to share all the money, and all of the stuff in the vending machine is expensive.
Yeah.
Although I will say, having like 1 or 2 people get the EMP vest and have us go in groups of 2, that would have been game changing right out of the gate.
Yep.
So we will probably play this again, and like as we do, we learn each time. It's fun. It was fun.
Well, it's like to me, it was the first time playing LC. Basically, it's like you're going in blind. You got kind of an idea, but not really an idea.
We're still seeing new stuff in Lethal Company now and then. Like we were playing a couple weeks ago, and I love the loot bugs. I have one. They're my babies, and I adore them. And we went to one place, and everybody got off the elevator at the bottom of the mine shaft thingy, and we heard like a loot bug immediately, and within 2 or 3 minutes we found a horde of them. There were like 8 just sitting around a corner.
9 by the end when we had to leave. There was 9 of them in this dead end hallway, just standing there on top of this massive pile of loot.
Yeah,
the picture of that is hilarious because they're all just sitting there.
I can find it. Yeah.
Like that was like, are you serious?
It was so funny.
Are you serious? Like, because oh my god.
It was, but it's one of those things where at the start, we've never seen a group that big, by the way, and I love them, so I'm like, oh, I got a key on me that I came down here with. I gave the first one I saw the key because it makes me happy to give them presents. But then when I realized that there was a whole horde of them, I was like, I'm just gonna die here and be happy about it. That's fine by me. I love this. Like. Oh, it was so good. So cute. I'm trying to find the picture that we took. Oh wait, there, I think that's it. Yeah, I'll put that in the Discord. But it's just
there were so many.
Just walking around the corner to see them all in the dark with their little treasures. It's like, aww. Except for everybody else was like, why? Now we can't do anything. They have all of the treasures and there's so many. Like, I think we all died. I think we ran away because a nutcracker showed up. Which, by the way, we haven't seen those very often either, and that motherfucker running around the corner with a shotgun is not fun. Not fun.
Yeah.
Funny.
Let's see. we've been playing a lot of stuff together, so I was just looking at my recently played stuff. Oh, Supermarket Together did another update. For it being a free game, they updated a lot, and it's great. They added garden stuff. I have now fully unlocked my entire upgrade wall, so I'm pretty happy about that. My supermarket looks great, but I do want them to give me more stuff to sell, more products. Anything else? I mean, I've been playing Fallout and Mass Effect, but other than that, you know.
I mean, we played the Dead Zone game.
Oh, yes! We did play the Dead Zone Rogue, isn't that what
Dead
it's called?
Zone Rogue. It is a rogue-like.
I don't usually like roguelike, but this
yeah,
one's
I
been
know.
fun.
It's a rogue-like, level-based shooter that plays a little like Borderlands.
Yeah, it's a looter shooter roguelike.
Yes, it's
like,
a looter
Risk
shooter
of Rain in
roguelike.
Borderlands without a story. Well, there is a storyline actually.
Yeah,
And
there's a story.
it's the demo that's out now, so you can play the demo with, 1 to 3 essentially, which is kind of weird that it's 3 and not 4. Usually most multiplayer is 4.
It's balanced around 3 people. I can feel it.
But it's been really fun because you save your stuff. Like, your tech points are things that actually upgrade your character, like your base character. So those carry through, like, even after you die and you reset, that'll persist through. But your upgrades you can change. So you can change your builds for every time you run. Like, which element do you want to build around? Or do you want to build around being melee and super strong in the front? Or do you want to build around throwing grenades? It was a lot of fun. Sorry, Jake,
Yeah, and as... No, it's fine. And as you kind of play through, if you want a specific build based on the traits that you're getting, you can re-roll all the attributes. You can re-roll everything about your weapons and grenades and things like that to try to get what you want. Like, I went a lightning build, so I was like, cool, I got an epic cold gun. I'm going to re-roll the attributes to try to get lightning on it. Boom. All right, cool. There's lightning. Good. Now just compliments. Lightning grenade, lightning offhand, or lightning secondary, and so that you kind of build everything around your lightning on that damage. Like, mine was great. Hit somebody with lightning, it charges them, and if you hit somebody who had a charge of static on them, they pulse and explode with damage around them. And then if they explode, they deal more damage, so that you can kind of create this chain reaction with lightning damage. It's real neat.
Yeah. It's real fun. And I feel like because the demo is essentially like the first level, but it's, what was it, 9 maps to go through or something? I can't remember how many.
Oh, it was like 22 maps.
But the story that goes along with it, that you're getting kind of drip fed as you progress, man, if they continue with that story all the way through this whole game, that game is gonna have a fun story. Like, I just want to keep playing it because I need to know what happens next. Now that we know the thing that we know at the end, which I'm not going to tell you.
It makes me wonder if this is created by people that liked Borderlands, and then Borderlands 3 came out and go, no.
I think these are developers from Escape from Tarkov.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they're from Escape from Tarkov.
So a Russian group?
Maybe.
Is it?
But one of the most interesting parts of this game is that, yeah, it's a typical roguelike FPS kind of thing. But at the beginning of each level, when you go through the door to start the next level, you are invisible. You can go through the entire level and see enemy layouts and see what enemies are in there, so that you can plan how you want to start.
Oh, so it's strategic, really strategic.
Yes. You can move barrels around to kind of set them up in critical places. You can, we'll usually look for a place where we can ambush the initial targets in that area and then draw the rest to us. Yeah. Because if you start at the front door, sometimes it's so set up poorly because the enemy placement's random, you can't start at the beginning. You will just get completely slaughtered by how they have it set. So you've got to kind of go through and see what you've got and what kind of corners you can work with and where the enemies are patrolling, so that you can kind of set a position that you want to start from. It's a very unique aspect in that part. It was a little surprising, but yeah, it's pretty neat for that. So I'll give them that one.
It is neat. I like it. You're stealthed until you make an aggressive move, and that's crazy.
Yeah, then it triggers the whole thing.
Also, there's y'all know that I love naming enemies for what they look like to me, and I don't care if they have real names. There's an
Right.
enemy in that game that I just call the Party Olive, and I don't care what it's actually called. That's all it's gonna be forever. It is the Party Olive. You better get it. It's a little floaty mine thing, and as soon as you shoot at it, it starts coming at you to explode like a mine, like an underwater mine kind of would. But
Beep, 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 beep.
yeah, you
Boom.
can kill it before it gets to you. But it's green with spikes, and it has like a little red dot on it. It's a Party Olive. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. And
That's
there's
funny.
crabs and stuff like that.
All sorts of neat enemies. It's a great game.
I mean, you can try it out. It's a demo, which obviously is free on Steam. So if you like shooters, try it out.
Yeah.
I think that Oak should take his little group of 3 that he usually plays with and see how that goes for him.
With one that can't hear, that's going to be
Yeah.
fantastic.
But I mean,
Well,
to
it's
be
a
fair,
very nice visual game too. So
No Pants
And
does
it
like
plays
Borderlands
well.
too, so he might like.
Oh yeah, he does.
it
And
plays so well.
Try
And
it.
I just
I mean, if it plays well, I'll try it.
yeah, it definitely plays. It feels good. Like the combat and the gameplay feels good.
Anything else? Like that's mostly what I've been doing.
I mean, do you want me to go ahead and start on my tangent now
What's your tangent? Go ahead, I guess.
about what I've been playing?
Oh, your new crack? Yes, go ahead. Talk
Yes,
about your new
my
crack.
my dinosaur game that I have been completely obsessed
You're
with.
welcome.
Yeah, this guy bought it for me back in 2017.
But it didn't have the dinosaur part of it then, did it? Or
It did. It did.
It,
Okay, I
it was
couldn't-
called The Isle, and it was just dinosaurs at the time. But they're changing stuff now, though.
Yeah, like apparently they did work on that game, and then after a while something wasn't working right for them, so they decided to start over. But they did not start over on a new game. They built a separate branch of the game. So now they update that branch. So whenever you download it, you have to go to your property settings, and it's under one of the beta things. You change it to the Evrima branch, which is the main updated version of the game. And then you can play it. But the best way that I could put it, it's like Daisy, but with dinosaurs. So
Okay.
but you're
you
not an
start-
infant in Daisy.
No, but you do start with nothing. You start with a piece of cloth and like that's it, and like some food. But in this one, you start as a baby dinosaur. You could pick. There's 7, 8 herbivores, 7 carnivores, and 2 omnivores, and you could pick any of them. You start as a baby, and it's literally just a survival game. That's it. That's your only goal is just survival. Now it is nature. And if it's bigger than you, it's probably going to eat you. Every other dinosaur that you see is another person. So if you run across something, you got to hope that you run across. If you're an herbivore, avoid the big ones. You have to. There's a nutrient system, vitamin system in there. Every dinosaur's got its own personal diet. Herbivores, there are different plants. And as you use the sniff mechanic, the scent mechanic, you can see on your little compass which direction your vitamins are, like which direction food is.
So I got a question on that. So if you're a carnivore, obviously you have to eat meat. And every single dinosaur I'm looking at is another person. What do you do if you're on a server that there's not a whole lot of people? Is there no bots filled in at all?
Yes, well, no bot dinosaurs, but there is bot food. There are chickens, boars, deers, fish.
Tell them how
Like,
much you
all
like the
sorts of-
boar's chicken.
I've died to the boar so many times. When you're little, they will beat your ass. Like, I mean, they will beat your ass. They are aggressive too. I had one kill me and then eat me. Then it's an AI. But you try to fill up your vitamins because your growth has a formula into it. If you have 0 vitamins, you are at poor health or your poor diet, you don't grow very fast. If you have 1 vitamin, even if it's 1%, you have a good diet. You get a little bit of growth. If you have 2 vitamins, you have great diet. You grow faster. You get bleed resistance, blood regen. And if you have a perfect diet, you get fracture resistance. You get a ton of buffs. You grow faster. And as long as you keep those vitamins up, you will grow substantially faster. And that's pretty much all it is you grow to get big. When you get big, you own the jungle. Like I love playing the croc, the dino. Damn, I can't think of the name of it right now. But it's the big croc, and they are the kings of the water. Every time you go to get a sip of water, because the fresh water is muddy, you can't see inside of it. And you don't know if there's something waiting underneath the water right there to get you. And I love it. Like I will be swimming and I'll be sitting under the water waiting in a watering hole, and something will look around, looking, I don't see nothing, and go for a sip, and you just come out of the water, grab them, and pull them underneath. That's your lunch. Scares the shit out of everybody, though. Like, trust me, there's no being ready for it. You're just sitting there going, sip, sip, sip. Please don't kill me. Sip, 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 and then hope that they don't kill you. Hey, it's nature. Nature is what it does. But yeah, that's how you play the game. There is communication in the game, and it is only per species. You can only talk to your species. So you could kind of try to team up with other ones, but other than
that's
that,
an interesting concept. So basically, you would not be able to communicate with other dinosaurs because technically you couldn't do so.
Yep.
Also, there'd be a language barrier because we put a lot of dinosaurs together that are 100 million years
exactly.
apart anyway.
Hey, you get out of here with your logic.
And like it is sound based. So the raptors, or every character, has 4 sounds that they can make. Just their normal call, friendly call, aggressive call, and an angry call. And it's got an actual bar, like a little hexagon. You can't spam them forever. Like you'll run out of voice stamina that if you keep spamming it. And whenever you type to somebody, your dinosaur makes the sound whenever you type it out in the chat. So your dinosaur will keep talking whenever you're talking, and that also takes voice stamina. So you can't just spam freely.
You can't just yell.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I was playing a raptor for a while, and like it's really just RPing. You're RPing as a dinosaur. It's fun, and as a raptor, nobody catches you. You fast as fuck, boy. Like I've fucked with other dinosaurs.
Yeah, if you start messing with them.
Oh, I mess with them. Like I will run in circles around them, and I'll start yelling at them, doing the dinosaur roar, trying to threaten them, and they'll try to catch me, and I'll just run off, and I'll nip at their tail, because the gameplay in that game is so physics detailed, and I mean very physics detailed. You bite somebody in the leg, they take leg damage. You bite somebody in the tail, they take tail damage. Like every piece that you can bite has a very specific point of damage. So you've got to try to hit and run, and you can also latch on to bigger dinosaurs as a raptor too, and like scratch them and then jump off and run away. But yeah, I like to yell at them and try to get their attention, and then another raptor will come up from behind and like nip their leg, and then they'll turn around and you run in to try to nip their leg. Like you gotta constantly, like, it's really like circling to hit them in their soft spots so that you can, eat them. It's your job, your life. But role playing so hard as a raptor, the one key is your, everybody's watched Jurassic Park, the little raptor sounds that they can make. Yeah, you push one and you can make that, and as a raptor, you're running around doing your thing, and you'll hear that out in the distance, so you reply. You do your little sound off so that the other raptors know you're in the vicinity too, and you can kind of plan up and group, because you can group up and make yourself a little clan. And if anybody gets too far away from you, you just hit your call and it makes their name pop up so you can see which direction they're at, and then it'll fade away. So every time they call, you can see where they're at as long as you're in the group with them, and then it goes away. So you can kind of follow your group wherever they go. So if you get left behind, yeah, like it really is just RP with dinosaurs, and the physics are fun, the gameplay is fun, and if you die, you go again. There's no coming back. You just get eaten. You're part of the food chain. You go again. So
the roguelike.
So what happens when you log out? When you log back in, if let's say you're a fully grown dinosaur, do you start over again, or do you?
Nope. You can keep going. You go until your character dies.
Okay.
So right now,
when you log out, like you just lay down.
Yes. When you sleep is actually one of the most dangerous things to do.
So
you can rest. You can rest. So your dino will sit down and just kind of wait. And then when you go to sleep, your character will lay down on the ground, so it's very easy to see who is going to sleep, and your screen slowly blacks out until about 20 seconds, and then it's almost entirely black, and you can only see a small fraction of your dinosaur, and then for 20 seconds you have to hope that nothing jumps on you while you're trying to
log
log
out.
out.
God.
You gotta
Yeah,
you
so-
gotta know when you're ready to be done. It can't just be like, oh, I gotta log out like right now. I gotta go. You gotta.
You
gotta
can
think
alt
about it.
F4, but it leaves your dinosaur in the world for a little bit afterwards. So
So same
that
amount
would-
of time, basically.
yeah, so as a raptor, I like to get up on rocks because not all dinosaurs can jump. So I'll get up on rocks and whatnot and sit up there and log off so that I'm a little bit more safe. So I've gotten up on rocks and yelled at crocs too. They'll be down in the water and I'll just like sitting there screaming at them, and they're like looking up because every movement is you can see every movement from every dinosaur. So when they're looking at you, you know they're looking at you, and you can just kind of keep yelling at them to try to scare them off. But crocs do not get scared.
Well,
They
then
are
they're
apex
huge. Why would
predators.
they get scared?
A full-grown croc will just rip you off the shore almost immediately.
And they're testing
they'll-
2 new ones too. 2 new dinosaurs.
Yes.
So.
They are working on the trike right now. They do have a Diablosaurus, which is like a Triceratops, but just a different breed of it. But they're working on the trike right now, and it's going to be an apex herbivore. Right now, the Stego's got the crown. You don't fuck with the Stego. Not a
Not a
full-grown
full one.
one, and not one that knows how to play. Those spikes will f you up. So you just, I mean, if you got a clan, you can kind of work it. But other than that, you've got to be very careful around them. And the other one that they're working on is the legendary dino itself, the T-Rex.
Nice.
That thing, most dinos now only have like 3 growth stages: baby, juvenile, grown, and then full grown. T-Rex is coming with 5 stages, and it takes 9 hours to fully grow. But it is the king.
If you can make
But
it
you
that
will
far.
have, if you can make it that far, because if anybody sees a T-Rex, juvenile or otherwise, they will get eaten, because you do not let them grow, or else they will just walk through and crush anything. It's what they did. T-Rexes are the boss. So you'll have to get a clan or a group of them to try to keep them down. But if one grows, you got to watch out. So it's neat. I'm excited to see. It's a long term. They're very slow on development because they're so particular with how they're working their game. Like they're going through multiple test phases to make sure the meshes work, everything. And like I said, like they are very particular. And as you eat the dinos, it actually looks like you're ripping apart the dino. So you'll see corpses that are like half eaten,
Yeah.
or as you eat more, you'll pull more of the dinosaur. It'll look more torn apart. Like they are very proud of their physics engine that they've built with this. So like I said, I walked up on a Stego earlier and it was half eaten. Then I started eating some of it and it was more and more decayed. So very,
That's cool.
very fun. I like it. I love dinosaurs and I like DayZ. So having like this kind of dino game has just been fun.
Anytime
jump in,
he has a
play
second,
it.
he's like, I'm gonna load up the okay. I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh man, queues are long though. Queues are so long.
Well,
But I know how to get into my server quickly because they go down for maintenance like twice a day. Every day they go down for maintenance. And ours goes down at 6 o'clock, and it comes back up somewhere between 6:19 and 6:20. And as long as you were one of the first ones to jump in, you'll either get in immediately or you'll be in like the top 10 queue. And like that takes like 20-30 minutes. I've sat in queue for 2.5 hours earlier before, so
So you're definitely not. It doesn't sound like the game is having an issue with player base then.
no. Some streamers have picked it up, so it has just exploded in popularity.
That's
And that's
good.
how I got back into it too. I was like, I looked at it back in December. I was like, man, I mean that's a dino game. Maybe I could play it with him. I'll think about it later. And then I saw somebody playing it, and I was like, I own that game, don't I? That looks so much different than what I remember playing. And then I learned about the Frima thing, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I like this.
mhm.
So yeah, I've been hooked on that game just because it's fun. Probably be forced to play more of it tonight.
Force.
Oh no!
I know,
Forced.
right?
Force,
I got
he's
my
like,
raptor.
No, I'm gonna just gonna ignore everybody and play this game. Force.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Well, anything else that anybody wants to jump in on before we get out of here? No?
No,
Okay,
no.
cool.
My internet is hanging in there for the moment, but as soon as they start talking, it's gonna be like, nope, you're done.
It already sounds like it's struggling. The audio, like as you were talking, was going downhill. So tell it that it needs to be fixed because you're off tonight, and that normally means that we play stuff together. So you got to fix it, dude. Chicken's like, if you don't, though, I'm gonna play the Isle.
I mean, I might play the Isle regardless. Like I care. I got my
middle
bucket
finger and whatever.
Yeah, I got my Baka time in yesterday.
I'm here for you, Pockets. Okay.
Yeah, you had my time yesterday.
All right.
Wait,
Let's get out of here then.
All
we
right.
appreciate everybody that hangs out with every other week. At every respawn, make sure that you hit the little sub button as well as the bell notification, so that way you know when one of these goes live. For Infinite Respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Baka.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.